Hi everyone, welcome to the Eugenics chat. We're on session 1, 2, 3. We're not too sure, but it's the one on mental health. And we have something very special lined up for you before we get to our speaker of the day. I'm Shania Dias. A lot of people you know me as Charu, things like that. And we have with us our co-host, Kevin Barreto. Kevin, would you like to take the floor?
You guys are going to enjoy this show because the topic is really awesome. And we have, a guest today.
We have
with us.
somebody very special,
Very
before our
special.
speaker. I'm sure most of you know him. He's worn the right shirt for this occasion. Mr. Ian Pereira, you would like to say something to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Ian Pereira. It's so lovely to be on this show.
Okay, Ian is clearly not nervous or intimidated by Kevin and me. His question prior to this whole session was, will my toned calves be seen? Because I've been working out. As you can see, the priorities have been set straight right from the very beginning on this show. So Ian, since the show is for the youth, it's about mental health, we decided we'll start off by talking to a youth. Tell me, what do you think are some of the problems that are most prevalent among youth today? Mental health problems.
Mostly with the current situation, I feel depression is one that is rising with the youth because their fear of jobs not available at the moment or what their future lies ahead, and mostly relationships because being in lockdown, everything is online, and I don't think they are able to connect very well with the outside world at the moment. It's just within their family members.
How do you connect with the outside world, Ian?
How do I connect? Through social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. I think these are the trending apps, platforms, if I would like to say, that helps us youth to communicate with the outside world.
True, but before we go on, I'm going to do a small game with you. Okay, we're
Sure.
going to say one word related to mental health, and you have to think of the first word that comes to your mind.
Okay,
Are you ready?
ready.
Would you like to phone a friend before this game starts?
I think I'm good.
You're good. Ian is good to go, everybody. So, word number 1, anxiety.
Anxiety, pressure, stress due to workload, working
Okay.
from home, maybe sometimes bad internet connection, can't be able to complete work on time, pressure from your higher authorities coming in,
Okay. Word number 2, depression.
sadness because loss of loved ones maybe, or maybe loss of a job and finding it difficult to get back on your feet again,
Okay. Word number 3, anger.
anger, frustration, trying to take it out just because you may have lost something or something didn't go your way, you're trying to remove that anger out on something else. Maybe it could be yourself or maybe someone you love closely.
Okay. And our fourth and last word for the game, trauma.
Trauma, something that happened in the past events that is still affecting you. For example, survivor's guilt, the feeling that you should have been in a situation when your friend took the fall for it.
Wow. Even I
Ladies
have
and
one
gentlemen, we
more
have an expert and we have a question from Kevin as well.
Yes, Kevin.
addiction.
Addiction. That's a very
Ian,
nice one.
Ian,
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Addiction, when you talk about addiction, you see mostly nowadays youth, or I would say the younger age children are addicted to their social media platforms so much that they are whole time on Snapchat, every time posting pictures on Instagram. Some of the youth are addiction to porn, which could also have bad effects on mental health.
and it's surprising that a lot of people assume that youth don't know about mental health issues. They don't know what it's like to go through, or they don't know how to define it. But even if you haven't studied psychology, or if you have for that matter, you can describe what you're feeling and if you're hurting. And I think the description that Ian gave about the kind of things that youth go through are so common. Ian, one last question before you leave. Do you think the youth or youngsters afraid to say that they have a problem?
To answer that question of yours, maybe some are afraid to come out and they hide within their shelf, but some are trying their best to come out of their shell and express their feelings, which is one very important thing, because only when you talk about your feelings and what's troubling you, it's the only way people can help you out.
We're going to thank Ian for joining us. Ian is our first special guest for today, but we will have another very, very special guest coming to speak to you guys. Hi everyone, welcome to the Youthgenics chat. We're talking about mental health, and this is take 2 after our very special guest, Mr. Ian Pereira, and we have an even more special guest, Dr. Michelle Faye Pereira, a counseling psychologist who's going to be joining us right now to talk to you guys about mental health and what you can do to make your life better. So a little bit about Dr. Michelle. She's a counseling psychologist. She's graduated from St. Xavier's College. She's worked at the seminary, and she's given talks at several major companies like Accenture, Deutsche Bank, Intel. She also, in fact, has trained, get this, under the Dalai Lama. I mean, there's not a speaker will not get better than this, and you won't get better insights from anyone but her. And we welcome her to SMYG for the first time. Welcome, Dr. Michelle. Thank you so much for being part of this show, for all the trouble you've taken to shoot this, to be here, the time you've taken out. Before we move, we've spoken about your career, we've spoken about your educational qualifications, but we want to get to know you a little bit. So apart from all of that on paper, tell us, what do you like to do apart from that time at counseling?
So I love to do many things outside of work. One of my favorite hobbies is scuba diving. I absolutely love exploring the underwater world. I also love hiking. I love hiking in the forests. I love nature. And I love to dance and many other things. These are like my top 3 favorite. Dancing.
So they're just going to launch into it. Dr. Michelle, we have 3 segments lined up for today, and our first segment is what we're going to call the Dal Mein Kuch Kala Hai. And that segment basically talks about how do you identify if you have a mental health problem. How do you come to know in the first place before you even think about tackling it? And Kevin and I are both going to bounce up some questions off you, Dr. Michelle, for our viewers. So, but feel free to obviously interject and come up with any more comments that you have. Our first question is, a lot of youth are studying, they're working from home, some of them have lost their jobs, they're spending a lot of time in a very anxiety-filled atmosphere, away from their friends who they used to spend so much of their time with. What are some of the mental health problems that are most likely to affect youth right now?
That's a really wonderful question. It has been a very challenging time to live through the pandemic, of course, and so many different challenges, as you rightly said, working from home or studying from home, being in one place, not being able to go out, not having your normal routine. And it's very natural for us to face some psychological difficulties. And something that we're seeing is, I think number 1 is a general sense of feeling inadequate. Inadequate because of maybe checking people's updates on Facebook or Instagram, looking at other people's lives, having what is called as isolation envy, looking at how other people are living through the pandemic or through the lockdown, looking at how everyone is exercising or if they're socializing with other people, or even just looking at other people's exercise videos, for example, can really spark off this sense of, oh my gosh, what's happening in my life? My life is not good enough. I am not good enough. And I think that's really coming out really strongly. So like a deep sense of low self-worth or low self-esteem. Also, at least with people who are working, there's a deep anxiety because many people have had some pay cuts, and or maybe they've lost their jobs. So there's a lot of anxiety coming up, a lot of nervousness. And anxiety is not only a general feeling of nervousness, but constantly feeling on the edge, constantly like waiting for something bad to happen, feeling like a tight knot in your stomach, having rapid breathing, feeling really edgy all the time is something else that I'm seeing with clients as well. Besides that, a sense of loneliness, feeling really cut off from life, from friends, that's also coming up, feeling very isolated, feeling very, very alone. And of course, depression is also very much on the rise, as you've been seeing on the news. So accelerated symptoms of depression, absolutely. Feeling low. On the extreme cases, of course, having suicidal thoughts and our life is not worth living. Also, a lot of family turmoil happening. Being in one place with your family.
And you're right, because we often think that we're going to get through it. It's going to be fine. It's just work, or it's just college, or it's just school, or it's just staying at home. But that can get to any of us. So there does seem to be a spike or a rise in the number of mental health issues ever since this whole lockdown happened. But thank you for sharing that insight with us. Now that we know that we're susceptible to all this, we're susceptible to problems like these, how do we do a self-mental health check-in? If I'm not feeling too good, if I'm not feeling the way I should be feeling or I normally feel, how do I check in with myself to understand, hey, is there something wrong? Can I do something to make it feel better? How do I check in with myself?
Yeah, I think that's really critical. Self-awareness is very important. And since mental health issues are on the rise in the country, and especially during the lockdown and the pandemic, it's good to be aware of how you're feeling. Just like, everyone now is so careful about, their physical health, and if there's a slight little bit flu that comes up or a sore throat, we're very quick to get the correct diagnosis. So I think we need to be this kind of aware or vigilant even with our mental well-being. And some important indicators are if your mental or your general sense of psychological well-being is coming down, you'll notice number one is that it affects your sleep. Either you're sleeping way too much, or you're sleeping too little, or you're having really disrupted and disturbed sleep. You'll also start to see changes in your appetite. Either you don't eat at all, or you eat way too much. Maybe you would also see a huge impact on your ability to function. Like suppose you had this lovely routine and you were able to study, or you were able to socialize, or you were able to work properly. When you're having any mental health difficulties, you'll find that it impacts your ability to stay focused, to concentrate, connect with people. You'll find yourself maybe withdrawing from society, withdrawing from your friends and family, staying alone, not really connecting. You'll find your work or your studies getting really impacted negatively. So these are some of the telltale signs. If you're having too many, we all have some low moods naturally.
That's right, because so often we forget, we're always in this rush to help others, to understand what others are going through, to keep cramming our day with social media, work, college, and we forget to check in and see how we're feeling. And that's the root of mostly all of the problems. So I guess doing that check-in is important. Kevin, I think you had a question.
Yes, I had a question. So how do you identify triggers in your daily life? Like how do you get triggered for stress and anxiety? How do you identify it?
Yeah. So I think if you find yourself not feeling yourself, and not dealing with daily life hassles in a normal way, and if you find yourself getting more irritable or more cranky or really exhausted, which a lot of us are probably feeling because of the lockdown, and that's very natural to feel as well, and you're able to find yourself snapping at your family members, your friends more, or you find yourself really losing interest in your hobbies, and you find yourself just completely withdrawing and immersing yourself in games or in Netflix or something like that, then you know that there's something going on, and that's the reason why you're overusing these mediums or going through these kind of things. You need to ask yourself then, what is it that's really making me so anxious, or what is really making me low, or what is really making me stressed out, and in that way you'll be able to identify what is really triggering you.
Yes, that was quite informative. So, I had one more question. What are the ways in which you could check in with family members? Like, you deal with your family. How do you deal with your family or your friends? Like, how do you know that what signs of problems do they face? Like, how do you guess it? Like, if a certain friend of yours has a problem or certain family member has a problem, how do you identify it basically?
Yeah, because people think if you have a mental health issue, it should be really, really visible, like have depression and anxiety tattooed on your forehead. But sometimes the person just seems completely normal.
Yeah, and it's nice to have a sense of concern and love for our family members and our friends. And it's good to check in on people, especially during these how do you identify signs? First of all, you'll notice that one is a person starts to withdraw. So they'll stop keeping in touch with you. They'll just vanish. They won't be engaging. If you're living with somebody, then maybe you will start to notice that they're not their usual self. You can see that something is off. Maybe you might see them use more substances, like maybe they're drinking more than usual. Maybe they're playing too many video games, more than usual, like 12 hours a day. And you can see that their normal way of existing, of life or functioning has been impacted in some way. And you can see that their mood is also destabilized. Either they're really nervous or anxious most of the time, or they're low most of the time. So there are many ways that you could identify it. And if you do, and also you can just go with your heart. You really can, if you know somebody and if you're close to somebody, when they're not doing okay, like the minute, say if I'm calling a best friend of mine and if I'm in a low mood, the minute my friend hears my voice, they can immediately sense that things are off with me and that something is not right. So you could use your own sense of intuition and your heart, and you can just sense that okay, there's something wrong and something doesn't feel so right. And if you do feel that and if you sense that, then it's always good to check in on them. Check in on how they're feeling, what's really going on with them, what's really happening. Instead of giving them advice, instead of giving them solutions, because that's typically what we do. When there's someone who is feeling down or they have a problem and they start sharing their problems with us, we start to give them too much advice, or we start to give them solutions, and maybe that's not what they don't really need that. What they really need is for you to just hear them out and for you to just really listen to them from your heart with a sense of compassion, with a sense of deep empathy.
Thank you. I mean, we've never thought of it that way. I think our first instinct is to like rush into things and call everyone and say, oh my god, this person is going through something. But I think sometimes just listening, just being there right next to that person can speak 1,000 words. For youth or not, irrespective of age. We will now move into our second segment of the day, which we will call tackling the parent. If I know I have a mental problem, or I know someone who has a mental problem, how can I resolve that? How can I work towards it?
So firstly, I would say if you want to reach out for help, there are many different sources to get help. If you're below 18, then maybe you can reach out to your guardian, your parent, if you feel comfortable and safe in that relationship. Or if you don't feel comfortable and safe, because sometimes even with our parents we do not feel that comfort level, we can choose somebody in our life who we have that comfort with, and who we know is going to understand and really hear us out. So be a little discerning about who we want to talk to. But the key is to say, I need to reach out. Because if there is a mental health problem, typically what we do is we do not reach out. And there is so much of stigma attached to it. Or there's just so much of shame. Or you just feel so lost, or you feel so lonely. So it's important to then overcome that and choose anybody who you feel really comfortable with. Also, if you have access to counselors, and I'm sure there are so many counselors in the church, in your college, in your school, in your companies, who have these services. If you could speak to a mental health professional, I think that would also be ideal. Besides reaching out to somebody else and sharing that something doesn't feel right, I think it's also very important to reach out to a mental health professional, because they have the skills and also the ability to help you through this. And there are many phone numbers you can call, many counselors you can reach out to be able to guide you on how to take this forward.
Absolutely. I mean, we don't think of it that way. We know that they're there for us and that they have our best interest at heart. But I think it's just tough in the first place, right? To say that I need help, I'm not going to be okay. But yeah, you're right. I'm going to ask you about two problems that are very, very common right now: anxiety and depression. And among almost everyone, most of the population. In most cases, or in some cases, there are people who either can't go to their parents or an adult for help, or when they do, their family perhaps is not privileged enough to ask or to afford that kind of treatment and care. In that case, what can they do for themselves?
So if you have anxiety and depression and you don't have the financial funds to get therapy, there are many other sources that you can get counseling from. There are many helplines that you can look up, like iCall, TIS, and you can call them up and maybe they'd be able to refer you to counselors who are either giving discounted rates for therapy or maybe even some services of some people, especially during the pandemic. Many counselors are giving free therapy services as well. So you could look up those services so that you could have access to the right mental health care treatment. So that's the first thing I would say. And you'll be able to get support definitely in that way. Now on your own, it's important to also, as I said earlier, reach out for support from your friends. But what is it something that you can do is there are many techniques and many methods to handle it also. Of course, it's better to get somebody to support you, but there are some things you can sort of try on your own. And for example, if you have anxiety, something that can really work is doing some breathing exercises. And you will find many of them on YouTube. You just type anxiety breathing exercises. Look up for guided relaxations of the body, especially this one called progressive muscle relaxation that will really help to calm the body and ease the body and then ease the mind. That is something else you can look up. You could have a very regular exercise routine, something that's not very hectic, but maybe something that like a little bit of walk or a little bit of yoga can really help you as well. Because when you exercise, there are certain neurotransmitters that get released into your body which contribute to a good sense of well-being. So exercise is key. There are so many free classes that you can avail of on YouTube. Yoga classes or whatever it might be. You could also listen to a lot of psychologists on podcasts or also on YouTube that talk about certain methods and techniques for anxiety and for depression that can really help you.
Moving to our third but very important segment about if you don't have a mental health issue, that doesn't mean you chill. You have to work to make sure you're still there. You don't get to the part where you develop a mental health issue. So how do you do that?
I really agree with that. Prevention is really better than cure, and it doesn't mean that everything that I mentioned so far on the podcast, it's not something that only people who are mentally feeling unwell need to do. Everybody, all of us need to have these daily rituals, daily good habits that can really help us to feel well and to feel good and to feel mentally and physically well. So I think number one is to have exercise regime, which can really help you. Like either, and I'm not saying exercise to come into this perfect body shape. Number two, have a routine, especially because we're in the middle of the pandemic. Most of us are at home and we are having classes online or we are working from home, or some of us also don't have much to do. So having a schedule and a routine always contributes to greater mental well-being. Having some time to do something fun and enjoyable which is non-gadget related can really help, because everything nowadays is so gadget dependent. We're using our phones and our TV all the time, but having some kind of pleasurable activities besides the phone and besides the gadgets can be really helpful, like either gardening, playing some board games, cultivating a hobby, whatever, whether it's painting or drawing or some craft, can really also help us feel good about ourselves.
So essentially small things. We'll try karte ye sab iske baad. Yeah, and we'll update each other. But if we have a problem, we will go to a therapist. Moral of the story, at every point in time, if you have a problem, please seek the help you need. Earlier we would be out working, studying the whole day and only catching up with our family at say 9-10 o'clock in the evening. So, I mean, there was very little interaction required. But now you're stuck at home. Yeah, now it's total, all the time with the family. People are getting irritated, people are getting irritable, there are fights, there's a lot of drama. So in that case, what do you do, Michelle, to make sure your family and home atmosphere is a little better? Because those things can act as major triggers to you, especially if you're not used to it. Like most youth aren't, because they're out the whole day, right?
Yeah, you're really right. Like everyone is getting so triggered in their own spaces. Like little things that you were not upset about earlier would like upset you so much. You also see your parents and your siblings also just flying off the lid. It's really important to have a healthy atmosphere. So firstly, avoid any kind of intense fighting and avoid reacting. If you're upset, just take the time out. Do not play into those dramas or the fights. Just say, okay, you know what, we're stuck together now. Let's put that aside. Number two, just be nice. Just be nice. Try not to be a jerk. And just say, okay, I'm just going to appreciate everything that everyone is doing in this house. We're all in this boat together. And let's just be nice to each other. Some nice activities, of course, playing games together, having like a games night, having a gratitude jar where every day each person in the family, or you can have a gratitude chart also on the fridge, and everybody writes something that they feel grateful for, and then you share this with each other. It can be another nice way to keep the positivity kind of going. If you have a musically inclined family, you can have some sing-song nights where somebody will jump on guitar, somebody sing, and bring humor in every day. I think all of us are so serious most of the time. Crack some jokes, have a little fun, and be a little bit playful. That can really keep the spirit going and keep the positivity up, even though we're living in these unprecedented times.
So I just want to know, like, if a certain thing arises, certain situation arises of nowhere, what are the stress busters can they use? What are the measures they can use on the spot or in quite a while that can help them out?
What's really important is to remind yourself that this is a difficult time. This is a pandemic, and it really has nothing to do with you. Because when we're tested like this, many of us can start to doubt ourselves, and we might think that we've done something terribly wrong. We might start to question ourselves a lot. So it's really important to remind yourself that listen, this is something that is really out of my hands. We're really living in uncertain times, and to just have the courage to sail through whatever these days are, and that it will pass at some point in time, but not to beat yourself down. And often we can have a very critical voice in our head that's always telling us that we are doing something incorrect, or we're not good enough, or we're failing at something, our bodies are terrible. And at that time, it's very important to then start using a more encouraging voice inside your head, a more positive voice inside your head, reminding yourself of all the times in your life you did succeed.
Thank you, Michelle, for those insights. I think a lot of what you said, instead of being really heavy on theory, is quite practical. People like us can actually use it and take some stuff back from this. So thank you for these insights. And we're now going to move to our last but the most important segment, where we have questions straight from the youth of St. Michael's. Prior to this podcast, we sent out a form to everyone saying that we're having this wonderful therapist on the show, and if you have any questions, you can send those in. And so we picked 3 questions that we're going to ask you today. I'm going to quickly just go over the first question. And the question is, if I have depression, will antidepressants and other medications help?
Yes, if you are suffering from depression, it's helpful to get the diagnosis from a psychiatrist, and a psychiatrist is a kind of mental health professional who can prescribe certain medications like antidepressants, which will help correct the brain chemistry in your brain and to help you feel better. So yes, these kind of medications do help, but in addition to taking these medications, therapy is also useful. So the treatment that I always recommend is some medications in certain cases, if the psychiatrist thinks that you need medications, and alongside that, therapy.
Our second question. My girlfriend has a habit of cutting herself. I have asked her to stop, but she refuses.
Self-cutting typically is done. Self-cutting is, those of you may not know, is some people tend to take sharp just don't know how to deal with them. So we end up cutting ourselves in some way, and that numbs the emotion. But in this way, it's not a very healthy way to cope with emotions, but it's a habit that we may form. So if you have your loved one or your girlfriend who is self-cutting, of course, really, listening to her, really supporting her and helping her through her emotions will really help. But at the same time, any kind of self-harm should not be taken too lightly. So even if you've promised her not to tell anybody, you might need to also break the confidentiality and talk to a mental health professional or maybe a priest or somebody who could help her out as well.
And our third and last question from a youth again. I haven't been feeling very well, so I approached my parents and told them that maybe I have a problem. They dismissed me and told me that I just need to cope with it. What do I do?
So I'm really sorry that you have to hear that in the first place. I would say that if they didn't understand, then don't stop there. Reach out to somebody else. Reach out to a priest or a professional counselor who can help you.
Sometimes we don't have those resources at home for whatever reason, but there are so many people out there, your church for that matter, who are just willing to step in and help you, provided you ask. And if you need that support in asking, that's something you should ask for too. Definitely agree with you there, Michelle. Thank you so much. That was our last question for this podcast. We're so excited that you had the time to join us.
So I would, first of all, thank you so much for organizing this. You all have taken so much of care and trouble to shoot this in the middle of COVID. So thank you very much for having me over here. And just last little bit of dose of wisdom to everybody here is just take it one hour at a time. Don't try to solve everything at one go. We are living in very difficult times and very unprecedented times. So just take literally 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, and everything passes. So thank you very much. Take care of yourself.
We're so happy you had the time to join us, and we can't wait for everybody to watch this and get their reaction. Thank you. What is that I heard? Special request, I think, from people. I can hear it for Ian to join the show again. Sorry, he doesn't have the time. We only have like a limited amount of time with him, so we can't have him again. But if you put enough pressure on Father Ashwin, we might actually do a separate talk show with him. So please do put in that request to the SMYG, and we will make sure that happens. Thank you everyone for tuning in, for joining. We hope you had a good time. We hope you got something out of this.
A good information out there. So really good.
Yeah, and guys, just one message for everybody. 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 day at a time. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you, Kevin, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.